Peter Naidoo is a racehorse owner and joins us to speak about diversity, transformation and misconceptions about horse racing. Welcome, Peter, to the show.
Thanks for having me.
So you've got a very interesting story, and I read somewhere that your father, Dr. Naidoo, was the first Indian man to own a horse in the 80s.
That's correct.
Is that where your love for horse racing started, Peter?
Well, I can put it this way. He was the guy that introduced me to horse racing as a punter. I used to punt for him. And in the early 80s, he applied for his colors with the NHRA, which is the controlling body. And he received his colors, and history has noted that he was the first Asian person that obtained his colors. And became
an owner.
A registered owner.
So then he bought you your first horse. And that horse won its first race. Tell us about that.
No, he had a horse called Talbell.
Yes.
And he was about to give it away to the mayor. And I applied for my colors. And he said to me, listen, instead of buying a horse, I'll give you a brood mare. So he gave me a horse called Talbell. I took it to a trainer by the name of Chris Erasmus. And he raced, I think it was 1,800 meters at Turffontein, and he won first time out for me. Yeah. It was in, I think, 1990. Was
that when the bug bit? Was that when you said, now I'm going to make a business out of this?
Yeah, obviously, after your first paycheck shows that for your first, you haven't invested any cash into the industry, and your first paycheck shows you 60,000 Rand. I mean, that bit me, and I continued from there buying other horses and brood mares and so forth, and trying my luck with different breeds.
So tell us more about how, you know, from there, so the bug bit, now you've become an owner. You also became the first Asian owner, stud farmer. And then tell us about the story from there, Peter.
Okay, so he gave me a horse by the name of Talbell, and the horse won first time out, and then thereafter it injured a tendon. And in horse racing terms, once you injure a tendon, it's good as in human terms, injuring your spine.
Right.
So instead of giving the brood mare away, I decided to breed with horse. That's when I became the first Asian that started breeding, and I bred with a stud called the Maloka stud in Moy River. And this mare produced a horse by the name, which I named Tyson.
Yes, tell us the story about the boxing and the horses and how that correlates with one another.
Okay, I'm a boxing fanatic. I followed boxing from very young days. I was never a boxer, but boxing always been my passion. Yes. And I decided that any horse that I breed, I'll name them after boxers.
Right.
So my first horse that I bred was named Joe Louis. Then I had the Brown Bomber, then I had Baby Jake, and then thereafter I had Holyfield, and after Holyfield came Tyson.
Right.
Well, Tyson was a special horse for me because it was born in Moy River and was raised in Ladysmith. That's among my cattle. That's what my other business is. I'm a farmer down in Natal. And he grew up among the horses, the cattle, and I said, no, well, we'll give it a chance. Took it to the sale at Germiston Racecourse. We asked for a bid. The highest bid was 25,000 rands. And I said, it's not enough. So here comes the trainer, Mr. Stuart Pettigrew, and he says, listen, just give it a chance. I took it back to the stable, and that's where it all began.
Because he's quite a sizable horse, isn't he?
He's one of the, in fact, I think he was the second biggest horse in South Africa, 17 hands high. Yeah. So we measure horses by hands.
Yeah.
And with 17 hands high, he meant something. You know, I mean, he could either cover distance or something like that. And Mr. Pettigrew, I think 6 months later, came up to me and said, listen, I think we made the right decision. We've kept the horse back, and I think you're going to really have fun with us. We raced it at its first run. It was at Vaal Racecourse. I remember the distance as well, 1,200 ridden by Sherman Brown. He ran third. Thereafter, we raced in Turffontein, and Mr. Khan, the jockey, he took the mount and he won the race. And from there, we won 7 races in a row. We named him the People's Horse, and we entered him for the Summer Cup.
So does that mean he's not as temperamental as the real Tyson then?
I must tell you a little story. My trainer, Stuart Pettigrew, still has a scar on his face. So I gave him the correct name Tyson, because when my trainer tried to feed him, he head-butted my trainer across the forehead.
Okay. All right.
And so there is evidence that he is almost the same. The other Tyson bit Holyfield's ear, and this one bit my trainer. Trainer, yes.
What a story.
And then after that,
then you went to Dubai?
No. I raced in the Summer Cup.
Yeah.
South Africa's South Africa's biggest race.
Yeah.
And the People's Horse won, Tyson. And Mr. De Kock came over to me. He's the leading trainer in the country. He said, listen, the horse has done well for you. Let's give it a chance and go to Dubai. Yeah. It'll cost you X amount of money. That's quarantine. And the horses go through procedures whereby it goes into quarantine in Mauritius and then eventually ends up in Dubai. Got to Dubai. And you know, Dubai, they host about 11 different countries. And that's called the World Cup. Yeah. We got there and I noted that Mr. De Kock said, listen, we've got a chance in this kind of fields. So I flew over, won first time out. The only protocol I broke in Dubai, that I didn't wear a black suit. That's the rule of the parade ring, that you wear your suit must be black. I wear a yellow suit because I love bright colors. That's the only protocol. But Tyson won, that meant the world to me.
Let's look at the industry a little bit and let's talk about diversity. And what would you say, how about if we look at transformation and equal representation in terms of ownership within this industry? What would you say, Peter, is the way forward?
Look, you know, horse racing has always been called the sport of kings and the king of all sports. Yeah. It had this stigma to it that it was a white sport. Sure. But I must confess that over the years that I'm being a director of one of the directors in the Racing Association doing the marketing, I can guarantee you that transformation is definitely taking place, because we have our second person of color that's come on board as a director. Right. That's Mr. Nsele, and we have Mr. Leaf, who is a colored person as well. So as far as the RA is concerned, transformation is definitely on. Equal representation, I think that process is a bit slow, but we're getting there. In fact, we were called to Parliament to address the portfolio committee. Right. That's myself and my chairman, Mr. Larry Weinstein. Yeah. And we deliver the goods.
So you're seeing transformation on a directorship and from a corporate point of view, but what about ownership?
I've already brought in about 25 to 30 black owners. And I could tell you that there are a lot of syndicates as well that have black. But that section has to be addressed as well. Has to be addressed. You got to introduce black owners slowly and introduce them what the game is all about. It's not a game where you're going to put in 100,000 rands and expect a miracle to happen. You could put in 100,000 rand and lose, a horse could die tomorrow morning. Right. So you got to introduce the game in such a way that the black owners know that you got to pay stabling costs, you got to pay the vets, and the chances of winning is, I think, 20% or even less. And I must say this, you must know this as well. We're also pushing a project down in Bishu. It will be if everything goes well, it will be the first black-owned race course in Bishu. That's in between East London
and Western Cape area.
No, Eastern Cape.
Eastern Cape area.
Yes, and we are pushing that project on. I'm driving that project. It will be solely owned by them. I will do the marketing and whatever backup services they require. I'll be doing that for them. So, as far as that's concerned, I think there are steps to be made there from the RA point of view.